Me and my husband is going to start reading this book together, and we are going to talk about it. So the first thing we're going to do is read the first chapter, and we are going to discuss it. So join us as we learn as well as you.
The nation trembles. Passenger jet explodes into buildings. Mountains of fire, steel, smoke, and terrified, struggling people follow the street together as skyscrapers crumble into dust. Thousands perish. America is at war. A new kind of war fills our minds with pictures of strange faces, balls of fire, women screaming, dust-filled people like mummies running from the cloud, jam the bridges. We're at war, the president said. The world will never be the same. Will terrorism, like some giant octopus, engulf the world? Or will World War III end all time? We're going to go now on an incredible journey behind the scenes and taking a shocking glimpse.
Turning the page.
Something is happening in our country, something strange. Have you noticed the trends? 38 people looking out their windows in a quiet, respectable neighborhood of New York City watched a murder that took a full half hour to commit and did nothing about it. 38 people watched Catherine Genovese being stabbed again and again in front of her home and didn't care. They just leaned out their windows as if watching the Late Show, waited till it was over, and went back to bed. Since America was attacked, are things different now? Get ready for a shock. You're going to go behind the scenes and see an awesome things that are happening and leading to a great crisis in our land. It all starts on a stark rocky island. Into the horizon stretches the vast expanse of the murky deep. One lone figure rests on a barren ledge of sheer rock. His name, John the Revelator. What he sees is fantastic. Strange beasts, clashing armies, nations rising. It's no surprise that the greatest nation on earth should be mentioned in prophecy. What just John sees pretends events shaping up in the United States that most definitely will affect you. Watch closely now on the scene unfolds. And I behold another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Revelation 13 and 11. A beast in prophecy represents a kingdom. Daniel 7 and 23. When a beast comes up out of the sea, it is represented in prophecy as rising amid many peoples and multitudes, a highly populated area. Revelation 17:15. To come out of the earth is just the opposite. So here we have a nation springing up out of the wilderness area. Instead of overthrowing vast and well-trained armies from the dense populations of the old world, this nation would be an area discovered in the eyes of the known world. It would be the new territory, different from the often blood-soaked nations of Europe. It would spring up quietly, peacefully, like a lamb. Can you guess what nation of the New World arose into power, giving promise of strength and greatness that would fit that description? Sure, the United States. It sprang up like a plant from the ground. A prominent author from 100 years ago speaks of the mystery of her coming forth from vacancy and adds, like a silent seed, we grow into an empire. The Pilgrims and settlers met up with the Indian tribes, but compared to the crowded cities and millions of the old world, America was a wilderness, and he had 2 horns like a lamb. The lamb-like horns indicated youth, gentleness, and represented civil and religious freedom. The Declaration of Independence and the Constitution reflect those noble views. Because of these very principles, our nation became great. The oppressed and persecuted from all lands have looked into the U.S. with hope. But the beast with the lamb-like horns spake as a dragon, and he exercises of all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them that dwell upon them to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven of the earth to the side of man. Revelation 13:11-13. Incredible. Keep your eyes open. As the drama unfolds, you will see miracles of a most amazing nation. Saying to them that dwell on the earth that they have made an image to the beast which had been wounded by a sword and did live. Revelation 13:14. Couldn't you imagine the U.S. doing anything like that? How could it possibly happen? Watch closely. The lamb like horns, then the dragon voice present a change of personality, a real change. The speaking of this country as a dragon denotes the use of force. This principle, as we shall see, was used by the leopard-like beast, the first beast of Revelation 13, which enforced religious observances by law. Such action by the U.S. government would be directly contrary to its grand principles of religious freedom. The Constitution provides that Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Speak as a dragon, our nation. Do you hear it stirring? Have you noticed attitudes become more intolerant and angry lately? Angry at crime, angry at political, religious, and social corruption. In the view of the horrifying trends of the time, it's understandable why the nations to speak that way. In 1 year, Americans spent $4 billion on pornography. Divorce affects tens of millions of homes, wrecking lives and breaking hearts. Mass murders, neglect of the aged, abuse of women and even of babies sicken the heart. Man possessed or taking the lives of men, women, and little children. Millions of Americans hooked on marijuana, crack, heroin, and other chemicals peer at the world through differing degrees of coony eyes, further appeal society with their relentless behavior and crimes. A recent report to the Federal Communications Commission states between the ages of 5 and 14, the average American child witnesses the violent destruction of 13,000 human beings on television. A U.S. Senate subcommittee revealed that in 1 decade, violence witnessed on TV skyrocketed and delinquency in real life grew nearly 200%. Video movies too horrible to mention fill the living rooms and minds of young and old. Prostitutes, homosexuals, and drug addicts share AIDS with innocent, the poor sufferers giving groans of despair as they perish in ever greater numbers. A group of them, Life magazine reported, lying on the floor in a circular and summering some of their last remaining strength, laughed in sequence. In the words of one commentator, surely America stumbles headlong toward the final precepts, tripped on the downward road of immorality. It plunges with ever-increasing momentum toward the point of no return. Crime doubles every 10 years. Political and religious corruption have caused even the Constitution to come under attack. People are angry. The nation is angry. The shifting of values and anger of the times, the speedy fulfillment of prophecy, are echoed in the words blurted out by a Jesuit priest. I just don't understand the reverence which everybody here seems to pay to the American Constitution. I want to hear some Americans get up and shout, give us justice, give us decency, and to the American Constitution. Is it any wonder that our nation will speak as, well, actually what he said, into hell with the American Constitution. Is it in any wonder that our nation will speak as a dragon? Little wonder that ministers across the land, in an effort to abort national doom, move millions to political action. The feeling is that something must be done. Leaders of the electronic church launched a campaign to arouse 50 million Christians. That's a tremendous drive on to unite forces for the common good. Pat Robertson, the preacher who tried to become president, said, unless Christians desire a nation and a world recorded to the humanistic, hedonistic model, it is absolutely vital that we take control of the U.S. government away from the totalitarian commission and the Council on Foreign Relations. He speaks of turning to God to galvanize Christians to political action. U.S. News and World Report declared a political holy war without precedent is in full swing in this
Turn the page.
country. The feelings are being spread that only if our nation comes back to God can we improve our sorry state of affairs. Leaders are saying that that can be accomplished if Christians unite. Robert Grant, leader of Christian Voice, urged, if Christians unite, we can do anything. We can pass any law or any amendment. And that's exactly what we intend to do. Our nationwide TV, he declared, we can do anything. We can amend the Constitution, we can elect a president, we can change or make any law in the land, and it behooves us to do it. If we have to live under law, as well we should live under moral and godly law. This is not the opinion of just one man. It is a letter written to the leader of the religious round table. It was asked to him if it was time for someone to influence legislation to make Sunday a day of worship in our country. In reply, the executive director, H. Edward Rao, wrote legislation and proclamations by presidents to urge it, yes. The dynamics make us wonder little that the nationwide papers and media messages plead to the masses that it is the responsibility of government to decree the establishment of the national observance of Sunday, and that there will be no relief from mounting economical disaster until a national Sunday law is strictly enforced. It's not surprising that the hearing of the South Carolina legislation demands by State Representative Anderson himself for a Sunday law to improve the state of society brought up uproarious applause. Who can wonder that the United States President has revealed his willingness to support legislation which would help collapse the separation of church and state, and he spake as a dragon, and he executed all the power of the first beast before him, Revelation 13, 11, and 12. We haven't seen anything yet. Be prepared to learn some shocking facts. Here's the big question now. Who's the first beast?
Alright, I'm going to start on page 3. Differing from the often blood-soaked nation of Europe, it would spring up quickly, peacefully, like a lamb. Now, Europe is Rome, okay? Catholic Church. Can you understand what I'm saying? Now, Kenneth Copeland and the Pope got together, and they brought all the churches back together. And it sprung up quickly. Nobody really saw it coming. And it was peacefully. And it's like a lamb. Now, think about like a lamb. What is the lamb? Like the Lamb of Jesus Christ. His word. His word. His church. So, we have got that coming up. So far, I think this book is right on time, and it is working. You know, it's telling us what's been going on. I'm sorry about my throat, but I am kind of sick. So, I'll go find another one, and I'll be back. Same page. The Declaration of Independence and the Constitution reflect the noble views. Now, I have to say, all of that, the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, is man's view. So therefore, when we got man's view and all, then it just threw God out of it. That God is not in the Constitution. God is not in the Declaration of Independence. God doesn't want nothing to do with it because it is of man. So, I have to say that if we would have stuck to the Bible when America was first born and all, then I would say that none of this would have happened. But history has to be done the way that it is done, because that's the way that God intended it, and you cannot change prophecy, no matter how hard you try, and if you do, you're not on God's side. Now let's look at Revelations 13 and 14. And deceived them that dwelt on the earth. We were deceived by the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. Now, let's see, how can I put this? Rome was great, but America became greater, and Rome didn't like it. So Rome came and took us over. They say that it's the Jebusites. So, yes, I understand that. saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wounds by a sword, and did live. We are underneath the same laws that Rome was under. So there is our deadly wounds. They were healed under the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. Now, so can you imagine that the United States was like that? I mean, think about all the churches we had around here. We had Pentecostal, Baptist, Church of God, all this, and they all came from the Roman Catholic Church. So there is the beast wound healed. And I am learning through this too, and all. And I don't think I'm wrong. I think I'm right, because we see history in a different light than what we did, at time past. So let me look some more. Okay, same page, and we're going to go to page 4. The lamb-like horn and the dragon's voice present a change of personality, a real change. Now, when the Twin Towers made a big change, but when Obama came in, what did he say? He's talking about change. Remember the serpent coming out. How'd that go? What Obama had to change? I'm sorry, I'm sick and I can't use my brain too good.
I'm thinking too.
It's we serve you, Satan. So you know what I'm talking about. The speaking of this country as a dragon. Now, they, look at what war machines we had. Look at the armies we had. And Obama came in and wiped them all out. Now we don't hardly have anything. So I'll be back. The same page 4. The speaking of this country as a dragon denotes the use of force. This principle, as we shall see, was used by the leopard-like beast, the first beast of Revelation 13, which enforced religious observance by law. Now remember, back, oh gee whiz, I know it was before the 80s, somewhere around in that area, but you could not sell beer. The stores were closed, the gas stations were closed, everything was closed. You could not do nothing on a Sunday, because it was a law that you did not do anything on that day. So, we're going to be looking at this again, but we're going to be looking at it in a different light now, because they have made it grow. Incorporated it is the better word. Okay, mass murders, neglect of age, abuse of women, and even babies sicken the heart. Well, we have abortion. We have people going around and hurting elderly ladies. Now they're killing people, elderly, in the hospital. They are neglecting the elderly in these OFO home and all. And you can see that you see a lot of YouTube things where people are possessed, especially men. So, so a lot of people are hooked on crack, heroin, and other chemicals. I mean, you got to look at the pharmaceutical. So, why? Because they put that stuff in there. But you're not allowed to smoke marijuana. It's a law. It's a law that you can't do none of this outside the establishment of what the government will allow you to do. So we have that, and it is so bad. And I think that's what they're doing, is they're using all these chemicals and all to make you possessed. and all.
Well, yeah, to possess you, and they're doing a good job of it, actually, because we're starting to see more and more people seem to be possessed.
Yeah.
Throughout the land, and we got CERN trying to open the portal to allow them to come, the demons to come in, and people say, well, I don't believe in all that. Well, see, that's whether you believe in it or not, it's not going to change the fact that you're going to see it happen.
It's still going to. And they have it in there where they will most and definitely do it.
Oh, yeah.
All right, and we got violence on TV. Man, it has increased in the last little bit. I mean, I can remember whenever it was bad for them to even talk about underwear on the TV set, or anything, or anybody being in a bed together, or anything.
Right,
it's like it doesn't matter. It's even went over 200-fold. They'll show bestiality. I reckon now. I ain't watched TV in so long, but it wouldn't surprise me none.
It wouldn't either.
It wouldn't surprise me a bit if they show bestiality. And we have AIDS and all kinds of homosexual, any kind of sexual disease, all kinds of them. We got them all over the place. Okay, page 5, it talks about we're on a trip on the downward road of immorality. We have same-sex marriage now. We have people marrying the ocean.
Oh, yeah. A group of people.
Yeah, a group of people marrying the ocean. How about the dog? People that think they're dogs.
Yeah.
And, I mean, now they're trying to fix it so bestiality and child molestation can happen. That is horrible.
No. What's really horrible is the fact if it's a man or a woman that abuses a child, they go to prison. But if it's a man abusing a man or a woman abusing a woman, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's the sick part of it.
Yeah, it's all coming down to sick.
Some woman wrote the book that said that a child under 3 years old that gets molested, it don't remember and it don't have no effect on it.
It sure does. I'm telling you, it
well,
does.
I know it does, but didn't somebody write a book and say that?
Yeah, it was one of them psychics, not a psychic, but
a psychologist.
So there you go, psychiatrist.
Yeah. It's okay for you to rape a 1 to 3 year old because they ain't gonna remember it anyhow. I mean, how sick is that?
Yeah. Okay. Even the Constitution comes under attack. Well, yeah. I mean, it's not. The Constitution was not written for me and you. It was written for them to get where we are today.
Right.
And okay, let's look at this Pat Robertson wanting to be president. Look, let's look at Obama right now. He says he's a Christian. He says he's a Muslim. He says this, he says that. What is he? My dog is more bred than he is. But when you look at where it says, U.S. News and World Report declares a political holy war. Now let's look at the holy war. What's a holy war? Jihad.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're going full swing in this thing. On page 6, if Christians unite, we can do anything. No, I'm sorry, we can't. God has to do it. The Creator God has to do it. Jesus Christ has to do it.
Exactly.
We can't do anything. We can't pass any laws or any amendments to change anything. And we have already got laws. We've already got amendments. And if we could not hold it, cannot keep it, then what more is it going to do? It's like the gun laws. How many more gun laws are we going to have to make the bad man stop shooting people? We can't have any more. There is no more. Even if they take all the guns away, the only people that's going to have any gun is the one that wants to do you harm.
Exactly.
Not the ones that needs to be protected. And where's the police at? We're not going to have any police standing at our front door to make sure that the bad man ain't going to come in here with a gun. And on page 6, it talks about we can elect the president. How can we elect the president when they can't even keep the voting polls right? You know, where you go vote at and all. How can you? You can't. I mean, it doesn't matter. They're going to put in there whoever they want to. And it won't be Trump. It'll probably 9 chances out of 10 be that Hillary Clinton. And she'll probably elect Trump as her vice president.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? So that brings us back down here on page 6 that says, and there be no relief from mounting economic disasters until a national Sunday law is strictly enforced. So when they put that national law and be enforced, think about it this way. Martial law.
Yep.
Martial law. So I see that coming really, really quick. Okay, it says, and he spoke as a dragon. Well, we know the dragon is the Roman Catholic Church. And he exceeded all the power of the first beasts before him. So we are like the Roman Catholic Church. Be prepared to learn some shocking facts. And here's the big question. Who's the first beast? The first beast is the Roman Catholic Church. So I hope you come back for chapter 2. So anything else you'd like to say?
No, I got that. That's pretty much what we wanted to say.
All right. We'll come back for chapter 2.